Welcome back to the Cut on the Diamond podcast, a show where two players tell stories of their journey to the show. I'm your host, ex-Major League complainer that sits out in the bullpen, Trevor May. Today, I am joined by the pride of Lubbock, Texas. Born on September 20th, 1986, this gentleman spent 4 years as a member of the Texas Tech Red Raiders, signing with the Florida Marlins, then Florida Marlins, after being drafted in the 21st round in 2009. He made his major league debut in 2012 with the Marlins, also playing for the Mets, Angels, and Rockies in his 9-year career. During those 9 seasons, he amassed 430 strikeouts, 99 saves in 373 innings. He produced a sterling 3.04 career ERA, was a 2016 All-Star, and is currently has the Marlins record for saves converted in a row with 33. That's impressive. After hanging up the spikes in 2022, this man has built a very successful media career. You can find him on MLB Radio on SiriusXM. You can also find me there. So if you want to find me there, you can do that too. His podcast, The Locker Room and Chasing Sueños, and the Marlins Hot Stove Show from time to time. A fellow bullpen grinder, AJ Ramos, joins the show. AJ, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you for taking the time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. I mean, the one thing, that was a great intro, by the way, but the one thing that stuck out to me is the 99 saves, man. That's always going to bite me a little bit. Like one more from 100, like I may try to, I know that banana baseball or what is it? The bananas, whatever. I may try to go on there and maybe get a fake save at least to get 100 because, man, that's so close.
That is extremely close. That was going to be one of my questions. Myself, though I never got that many opportunities to get saves, I kind of combined like my holds and my saves. So I was like, okay, leverage stats. I want 100, and I thought I got 100 right on, and then I went and checked after I retired, and I have 99.
Oh, so you know the feeling, man. You know the feeling. It's like, just one more. I remember there was once I thought it was a save in Miami when I was with the Mets. It was I think the first time going back there, and I thought it was a save in my head. I was like, all right, I'm going to get my 100 save against the Marlins in Marlins Stadium. It was only fitting. And then I found out that it wasn't a save because there was the number of outs, and I forgot what it was exactly, but I thought it was my 100 save. I even posted on social media like 100 save, and I wrote this long thing, and I'm like, oh, crap, that wasn't a save. So I had to go in and edit it and change it all up. But, yeah, that 100 is – I think probably going to stick with me for a while.
Yeah. Well, who else? Someone else has a really bad one. Oh, Ian Kinsler has 1,999 hits.
Oh man, I think that's even worse because
he ended with an injury too, so he's trying to get back, just couldn't do it. Ah,
man,
but
that's tough.
I mean, 2,000 hits. I mean, you're right there. Right?
Yeah.
I would come back though. The Mr. 3000 movie. If I were him, 100% trying to come back.
100%. Yeah. That's a great movie though. I love that movie. It's funny. Bernie Mac is amazing. I love
Bring back baseball movies for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, thanks again for joining the show. We kind of start all of our conversations in kind of the same place because I love what I love about baseball, especially like youth baseball, is how crazy different the experience is depending on where you grew up. Mm-hmm. I played with Brandon Nimmo, who's from Wyoming. Is he from Montana or Wyoming? Either way.
I think he's from Montana.
So. There's nobody comes out of Montana.
That's the same place to me. I've never been up there.
Exactly. It kind of is. If you can't tell if you're in one or the other if you just look at a picture. So,
right.
But I'm from Washington, not necessarily a hotbed either. But everyone kind of has different experience growing up. You are a Texan. You are our first Texan on the show, which is one of the big three: California, Texas, and Florida.
Nice.
And I'd say Georgia, probably just the whole panhandle type place. And that's where a lot of them, because you can play all year for the most part. So I am curious. Let's start with we usually start around 12 years old when things kind of get a little bit more competitive, all-star teams, whatever. So take me through what it was like in growing up in Texas and playing competitive baseball at a young age, because I'm sure it was travel ball quickly. Or were you one of the guys who kind of just stayed local for as long as you could and joined up in the travel scene a little bit later in your life? Like, what was that like for you?
So for me, travel ball wasn't really a big thing yet. I think there were some states and some people that were doing it, but it wasn't as big as it is now. So I played little league ball, played all around there. There was a league called Select League where it was basically all the all stars of the um, little league, and they would all play at this select, and you had to be invited to play. So it was an elevated talent, and I mean, I was never the tallest, I was never the strongest, I'd never stuck out. So I always felt like I was battling. I had to always prove myself, and I'm thankful for that because I think that's one of the only ways that I got to the big leagues was constantly having to prove myself, and that made me get better. In that specific city in Lubbock, I would say baseball may be the number one sport as far as like youth goes. I mean, baseball is huge there. Obviously, football is big as well, but baseball is right up there with football as far as like how many kids play that. So it was an important thing. So and I always loved it, man. It was I never felt like I was practicing. I never felt like I just loved it so much that I would go play a game, and then after the game, if it was still light outside, I would go home and I'd play wiffle ball with my brother, and we'd play wiffle ball and play outside and hit homers and act like I was at Ranger Stadium because that's the team that I liked when I was growing up, the Rangers, because that was the closest to me. That like Juan Gonzalez or Pudge Rodriguez. I was around that time. And then after that, when it got dark, my mom was like, "Get your butt inside. It's too dark." I would go in and I would play my Nintendo, and it was like the Cal Ripken game, and
Mm.
I would play that all night, man, until I had to go to sleep. And then when I go to sleep, I dream of baseball. So I was so enamored or just in love with the game that I never wanted to stop. So that that love combined with always having to prove myself, that meant I had to do a lot of work. So if you're doing the work powered by love, you're never really working. So that's the way I got better, and ended up a big leaguer. So that's how it was for me when I was younger.
Wow, like, dude, that obsession, I fully the wiffle ball thing is a trend here. We just had Trevor Plouffe on the last episode, and
Uh,
he talked about playing with his brother, and that's
yeah,
like, when you got older, is your brother older or younger than you?
he's younger than me.
Okay.
And the funny thing about that, so I was talking to somebody, and they asked me when was the last. No, I was still playing. They said when was the last time you had fun playing the game, and I thought about it, and I'm like, the last time I had fun playing was that wiffle ball in the front yard, because after that, when I was playing in games and I got old enough to, when I was in college and or even in high school when I started getting more competitive, it became almost more of a job. Not like a job, but like it became something that was a necessity to me.
Mhm.
I still had the love for the game, but I never had fun because I was so focused on succeeding or doing good or whatever it is instead of enjoying the ball game. So the wiffle ball time, man, it's one that sticks with me, and it's the last time I had played the game just in full, with nothing but fun. Because when I played, dude, I played with aggression. I had to use anger. I had to use every emotion available to power me through those innings. So fun wasn't one of the ones that powered me. It was always the negative ones.
Yeah, that's you make a really interesting case there, because that question has come up with me a lot too. I got a lot of people will wonder, "Hey, dude, why'd you retire kind of early? I feel like you could have played another year or two." And I'm just like, fun. The word fun. It's not like I always liked playing. Like
Yep.
when I was out there, I was like, I enjoy what I'm doing, even though it is important, and I'm, sometimes get fight or flight, and that's not very fun. But like, it's everything else that was wearing me down. I was like, dude, oh my god, like I would like to just, I wish I could just show up to the park and play a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
when we say stuff like that, and I think that's what I'm hearing you say, it's like it's not that it's like not fun. It just becomes it's so much more. It's so much more in the competitive like energy side, that it's not just for fun.
right.
It definitely doesn't feel like you're playing for fun, and that's what wiffle ball is, because it doesn't matter if you're good or not or who wins. That goes away as soon as the
Yeah.
games mean anything or anyone has a gun on you. What getting velos? That's out the door, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gone.
Well, then
Uh,
also too, man, like injury. I was hurt. I was trying to come
mm,
back from a shoulder injury, the last half of my career from 2018 on, and the level of detail you have to pay attention to and do was a vigorous process, especially because I wasn't trying to come back and just be good enough to play. I wanted to be better than I ever was. So that pressure that I put on myself to do all these things to try to get myself in the best position to play and then still have pain in my arm. you know, like I since surgery, throwing a baseball, I'd never had there wasn't a day where I didn't throw in pain. And before surgery, there was days where it didn't hurt as bad or there was no pain. So I'm like, dang, I got this surgery to feel better, but I don't, and I'm having to do more work to play. So I think that added to the not having as much fun as well. So yeah, man, it's a process, but I don't regret anything, obviously, because it was such a blessing to play up there and to experience what I experienced. And dude, it's one of the funnest, one of the greatest times of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, in a lot of ways. It's like every memory is so heightened because of the nature of it. So like you have all these great fond memories, and then you remember like I don't know, like I remember packing up my car to go to spring training. I'm like, I don't miss that.
Yeah,
And I find a
yeah,
bunch of stuff. I'm like, finding a place to live, and
yeah,
worrying about the trade deadline. And okay, yeah, I
yeah.
guess I'm okay with this. Okay, so you mentioned, to kind of take this back a step, you mentioned that you were never the biggest, strongest, the stud. And I always love to hear like what, because usually everyone's either in one, they're a stud the whole time, or they're a late bloomer pretty much every single time. They're like the third best kid, on their every team, but they're always the third best kid no matter what team they're on. So you weren't one of the big fishes, so I guess that answers that question. So, but there must have been some guys that you played with who were the studs, or played with or against. Is there any names off the top of your head? So I kind of asked this in two ways. One, a guy that, like, a name you remember from when you were a kid who just never, maybe you went to college and like you didn't really hear from him again. You just stopped playing baseball. Are there any of those guys that step out that you
Yeah.
can shout out? And then, because my guy's like, his name's Bobby Harrell. He had a mustache when we were 12, and he was like 380 miles an hour. We're like, this kid's going to be the best player ever. I don't know
Yeah.
where he's at now. I hope he's okay and happy. And then, is there any guys that you played against or with that then went on to get to the big leagues? And like you got to grow up with, like Plouffe had Delman Young, for example. They grew
Oh
up
wow.
together.
Okay.
And we obviously know how both their careers went, which is awesome. But
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
any guys like that for you?
So let's see. The guy that stood out to me whenever I was younger, his name was Josh Castro, and we were 12 years old. He was 5'10", so he's my height right now. And he probably weighed the same as me. He was a big kid, had the mustache. He was throwing 74 miles an hour at 56 feet. So I don't know, that's like 105 or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And he was the best player in the league. Obviously, he was hitting tanks. There was the way the field was set up. It was the fence and it was up against a street. Then across the street there was a yard, then a house. He was hitting the roof of the house.
Okay.
He was that kid. I mean, he was probably hitting it like 350. It just crushing it. And I remember going up to bat against him, and my dad, I was afraid. I was afraid of the ball. I mean, just like every kid. And my dad was like, "Don't be afraid. Go in there. Get in there." And he's not going to hit you. Just step in there and be brave or whatever. All right, I get in there. This dude squares me up in my left quad. I mean, it felt like it was stuck in me. I fell to the ground. I started rolling around, and I don't remember this, but my dad said that when he ran up to me, he was like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And he said, "Get the ball out. Get the ball out." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The ball's." I said, "The ball stuck in my leg." That's how hard that I got hit. And after that, and then the funny thing about that is, and goes to tell you, and it may be a little harsh, but it stuck with me. He goes, "All right, get up and go to first base." And I'm limping to first base. And he goes, "I don't want to see you limp." He goes, "If you can run, try not to limp." And I was like, "Okay." After that, whatever, ran the bases. He struck out the side, and I go out. I was pitching that game. I go to pitch, and I kept like limping around. And he was like, "I want you to be hurt after the play. I don't want you to be thinking about being hurt right now. Like, it's just a bruise. You're fine. Go out there and play." And I think he ended up winning, but I kind of proved to myself that I can get through the pain. And that kind of stuck with me because ever since then, when a ball hit off me during a game, like I instantly went to like make the play first and then would be hurt. I wouldn't, I'm kind of throwing shade, but not LeBroning it. LeBron falls and,
Yeah.
or
Finish the
soccer,
play. Yeah.
is soccer flopper.
Yeah.
I never did any of that, but So Josh Castro was the guy for me in Little League, and I remember he went to high school and he stayed the same height. Like he never grew any. It's crazy. And he still threw. I think he topped out at 83 or 84 in high school. And then the other guys that I played against, one was Chris Holguin. He didn't make it to the big leagues. He got drafted, and the other one I played against was Tyler Lyons, who is a lefty. He played for the Cardinals for a little
Cards,
bit.
yeah, I remember him.
And then Chad Bettis. Chad Bettis is from Lubbock. I played against him in high school. He was younger than me, and he played for the Rockies, and he had a pretty good career as well. So those are the guys that I played with or played against. Everyone else, yeah, I don't think there's any more big leaguers that I played with or against.
Man, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like Tommy Hunter was our first episode, and the guys that guy rattled off.
Oh man,
was insane. Like he played with like like Philip Umber and like a bunch of like dudes who have no hitters. Like like everyone on his team played, and he's like, yeah, and I was like the scrub on the team.
Where did he live?
Indiana.
Wow.
But like these guys were like Chicago, Illinois,
Yeah.
like he lived close to the border.
I know one of my friends played in California. He played football and baseball, and he was rattling off NFL players. He was rattling off even like actors that went to a school around the time he did.
Crazy.
I'm like, you grew up with that, like you're living in Hollywood, basically, man. It's crazy. And yeah, I just had those guys, because there's not really much going on in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah. It's football and baseball. That
Football
seems like
baseball,
kind of all it is.
Yeah.
I can also I can attest to that. My hometown is baseball. That's all we got. That's all there is to do.
That's all right.
Well, okay, awesome. So let's get a little bit into the travel side real quick. Did you start doing any of the perfect game stuff? Anything and like later in high school? Is that how Texas Tech came about, or was this all like high school baseball got seen that way?
High school baseball. And the funny thing is the pitching coach there at Texas Tech at that time, my senior year, went to go watch me pitch and was like, nah, this kid doesn't have it. We'll pass on him. And I remember hearing that they're going to pass on me, and I'm like, wow, okay. So then I did my own tour. Me and my dad drove to junior colleges to just do my visits, and I ended up signing with New Mexico Junior College, and I signed with them. Everything was great, and then the pitching coach that was at Texas Tech got fired for punching the shortstop in the face. That shows you what kind of guy he was. Or maybe he was going through something. I'm not going to say he's a bad guy. Just he was going through something, I guess. Punched the shortstop, fired him, and then they brought another coach from Dallas, Texas, and he came in and he was like, he went to watch me pitch like a summer league game, and he goes, I don't understand why you're not signed with us. You're in our backyard, but we're going to offer you a scholarship. And I said, yes, sir. And I went and signed with them, and that's how I got seen. I didn't do any perfect game. I didn't really even do any camps. Like everything I did was taught to me from my dad. And then that love and then will to be great. I really, harped on those things, and that propelled me to the big leagues.
I'm about to drop a name on you. I just had this realization that there was a guy, because I graduated high school in 2008, so he would have been at Texas Tech. He's a catcher. Your senior year. Do you know Kevin Whitehead?
Yeah, I know Kevin Whitehead. Yeah.
So Kevin Whitehead's family, it's funny. He's got 3 brothers and sisters. I have 3 brothers and sisters. The brothers are the boys are the 2 youngest. The girls are the 2 oldest. Same. We're all the same age, all 4 of us. Wow. And then my oldest sister was his oldest sister's roommate in college. And so like I got to go play with his team. They're from like closer to Seattle. I'm from a place down by Oregon. And I played with his like summer team once. And then we matched up in high school when we were juniors and seniors at the same district championship game. And he heckled me like to the point where I was like, I hate this dude.
He's a witty guy for sure.
He's one of my, I'm sure it was all like, it's just high school baseball. But I have not talked to him since, but I had this like, he propelled me, I think, to get, because I was like, they talked trash. We had a rain delay. I came back throwing like 95. Like and just destroyed them. But I'm like, I think it was you, man. I think you're my origin story. If you're my parents dying if I'm Batman, right?
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's
your Uncle Ben in Spider-Man.
Yeah. he'll throw out one-liners for sure. That's what they were doing. Yeah. He was definitely the ringleader. He was their best player too. He was their best hitter. He's like the only dude I didn't strike out. I struck out like everybody on their team like 3 times. But anyway, just aside, that's crazy. Small world.
Yeah, it is.
Small world.
Especially in baseball, it's a small world.
Very small. So you go to Texas Tech. You're there for a couple years. Junior year, Tommy John, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about navigating the Tommy John, because that's a very specific time. You know, for anyone at home that doesn't know, like you want to get drafted the highest, usually being drafted every junior year is your goal.
Yep.
It's usually like you just get more money. Like juniors just get more money than senior signs usually. So
yeah, more leverage.
That's usually the goal. So you had to navigate a surgery that at that time we didn't know as much as we know now, right? So that's got to be scary. So tell us, what was it like having to work through that process as a college guy that knows that he's probably gonna have to play another year to enter the draft, if that's something you wanted to do afterwards?
Yeah, well, I'll take it back to my sophomore year. I had good numbers. I was doing well at the end of that year. I got a lot of letters from a lot of teams and a lot of questionnaires, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get drafted next year. And I go into my junior year. It's a second series of the year, and we're playing at Minute Maid Park in some tournament. And I was throwing. I threw a curveball. I slipped on like the mound, kind of like my landing foot like slid out in front of me. Throwing a curveball. I felt like someone thumped my elbow, and then threw the curveball, and I'm like, ah. And this is where, I mentioned earlier when I was like, oh, be hurt after the play. That's where this bit me in the butt, because I kept throwing. I threw the full game. And after the game, I couldn't. This is as far as my arm would go straight, and this is as far as my arm would bend, because it was so swollen. And I was like, oh man, I don't know. One of my teammates was like, oh, it's because you threw a lot of curveballs. That's probably why. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. And iced it, whatever. And then I was Friday or Saturday starter, so I had a lot of time to heal or get ready for my next start. And so next Friday, I was out there pitching again. Couldn't figure out why I was like losing the zone. I'm like, what's going on? I had a little bit of pain, but I'm like, I'm losing the zone. My dumb self waited all the way until it was the last 2 series. The series before my start, before I walked the bases loaded, ended up getting out of it and threw like 3 innings or something like that. My last start, I walked the bases loaded, then walked a guy in, then walked another guy in, I think, and then they pulled me. And then my coach was like, so, what's the deal? Are you having any pain? I said, yes, sir, I am. Then we go get checked. This was like in May, late May, about to be April, or in April or so. And sure enough, tore my elbow. We get surgery, and the first feeling I felt was relief to know that, all right, I didn't just lose how to pitch. Like,
I don't just suck. I'm hurt.
Yeah, I don't just suck. There's a reason for me sucking. And all right, cool. And then once I got that information, I was like, all right, I'm gonna work even harder to get back so that I can get drafted next year. And then and I asked the doctor, I said, what's the chances of me being able to throw a full season next year? And they're like, a slim chance. It's pretty quick. It's 10 months. And I said, is there a chance? Can I do it? And they said, well, technically, yeah, you can, but we want to make sure you're healthy. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. And so I luckily had a really great trainer that knew when to pull the reins on me. And that's something that people had to do constantly, because I kept wanting to go. I had that just my mind is so strong to will my body to get through anything. And so I was progressing. My first bullpen, I was throwing 91. And I wasn't like necessarily trying to throw that hard, but it was just coming out. And I thought, man, I'm gonna be throwing 100 after this, because like a new repaired elbow, I feel good. I'm gonna be throwing 100. No, I stayed 90, 91. But I ended up getting back in games in 10 months. And it was honestly, I thank God that I had that trainer. He passed away a few years ago, but he was great. He got on me when he needed to, when I needed to. He gave me a pat on the back for the days that were tough, and he navigated that process really well. That allowed me to get through it as fast as I did. and it gave me confidence when I got back out there on the mound. And yeah, it was crazy, but um, yeah, I haven't heard anybody getting back that fast. But now they got it down to a science now to where they can make sure that when you do come back, you're full force. Because I didn't start throwing, so I was throwing 89, 90. And then by the time it was a Big 12 tournament, which is later on in the season, I was finally throwing 93, 94. So that's whenever my arm fully healed. So, and that's actually what got me drafted. Someone just saw me there and like, hey, well, we'll take a chance on this guy.
Yeah, thank God we got it right at the end here.
Ooh wee.
Yeah, that you're right. That is kind of, they would be like, you can come back and be in games, but then you like don't kind of get your stuff back for a couple more months. And now they're building that into the rehab. Now you can go do that with, so you can don't have to go out on TV and like not have your velo back and then
Right.
eventually get it right. Where people are like, is he cooked? Like, is he done?
Yep.
Like, no, I'm not. Give me 2 more months. I took 16 months to come back from mine, and it was very similar to you. I threw curveball to Andrew McCutcheon 0-2, and I was like, oh well. And then I threw 3 more innings.
Yeah.
And then the next day I tried to drive to the park and could not lift my arms. Like, yeah, no, I blew out. I think we know what this means
Yeah, dude.
by this point.
Well,
So
what did you feel? What did you feel when that happened to you? What was the emotions that first popped up for you?
like it was very similar, especially when I first felt it in my elbow. I was like, I was competing for a Vis spot. It was I'd made my rookie had my rookie year before. I had like an 8 and 10 starts, and they let me just like kind of slowly get better. So I was like, I have to go put up, and I was putting up. I probably would have won. I won the spot. I was throwing 94, 95, feeling good, harder than I throw on average. So I was like, great. It felt like I pulled I'm like I either pulled my tricep or like just
Yeah.
inflamed something in the back there, or I blew out. Like those are the 2 options. So like either way, if I go down right now, I'm probably not going to make the team because there's like 3 starts left. If I'm hurt right now, they're probably
Yeah.
going to shut me down. So you're not going to make the team. So
Right.
maybe it's nothing. I woke up in the morning like, no, it's something. And they were like, yeah, dude, I got the image. I remember it vividly because it was the original Switch had just been released, and I got mine that day. So it showed. I'm like, cool, I got my Switch. 10 minutes later, I was talking to the doctor. He's like, yeah, your UCL is gone, man.
Oof.
Like the dye's everywhere. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no. Well, at least I can play Zelda, and I got
Yeah, I was
surgery.
gonna
And I
say
can't play
bad
Zelda.
news, you can't pitch. Good news, you can play your Twitch as long as you want.
Yeah, and then I couldn't even do that because I was in the brace, and my wife beat the game like on the. So I'm like, cool. I don't even get to play my Switch. She plays it. I got to
Oh
sit here and
my
watch
god.
TV because I can't do anything. I'm all hopped up on stuff. So yeah, I'm very similar though. I was like, just go, keep going.
Yeah.
And I think I punched out Arenado later with no
Yeah.
UCL, which was I can hang my hat on that. I was
I
throwing against Team USA before
Oh.
they went to WBC too.
Oh,
So
well, yeah, you
a
had
lot
some
going
extra
on.
juices going as well. So,
Yeah, and I believe
and I
that's the
think
team that won it. So they're pretty
yeah,
good.
I think that's the thing about athletes, especially ones that make it as far as we did, is like there's a certain mindset where because there's always elements that you have to battle, whether that be the rain, the weather, the travel, whatever it is that you have to overcome. So when you have an injury, because there's some people like, if you're hurt, why don't you say something? Well, sometimes like you don't know if you're really hurt yet unless
Mhm.
you can't, physically throw a ball or swing a bat or whatever it is. But we have this like mindset to where we can overcome a lot of things because we know how to shift our focus off of pain or off of rain or off of the travel, whatever, and focus on a specific thing. And your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you put your focus on, I got to dial in this pitch, glove side, you're mostly focused on that. So you have less room for focus on anything else. And that's a good big leaguer. It's to drown out even the moment. Oh no, it's bases loaded, 3-2 count, You're not thinking about that. You're not throwing the ball. This is 3-2 count. You're like, I'm gonna execute this pitch. And that could be the first pitch of that bat or a 3-2 count bases loaded. You're not thinking of those situations. You're just performing. So I think when you have injuries like that, guys that like have made it to the big leagues, you're more likely to overlook them because you're so focused on completing a task.
Yeah, especially relievers who we'll,
Yeah.
we'll talk about this a little bit later in the show, but especially because I was talking about it like every reliever is like anywhere from 65 to 80%, 85% on a day.
Oh,
If you feel like
yeah.
90%, that's 110% to a reliever.
100%. Yeah.
You feel great on the first time you pitch, and then it's over for the rest of the
That's
year.
it.
So, and I think that things we're talking about right now probably were one of the main reasons that we were able to stick as relievers and be successful at it because it's a unique beast. Okay, so you were drafted. by the Marlins, and you did even right now, especially I think college guys are blowing through the minor leagues. But you had a couple seasons down there before making your debut. We all know about the horror stories of the minor leagues. Everyone talks about that. I always ask guys, what part about the minors did you like the most? Because there are some nice things you learn how to navigate this thing. But what's the thing when you think about the minors? Like, what's the best memories that you have?
Best memories, I feel like, were even though the bus rides were long, some of those bus rides where you're all in it together. It's a 13-hour bus ride. I'm in the back of the bus. It smells like farts back there because everyone's diet is horrible in the minor leagues, and people are just letting it rip. We're watching Major League for the 100th time on the bus, but you're just sitting there chopping it up, man, talking about the game, talking about life, like learning about guys, and then after that, after a game when I was in Jamestown, New York. We lived in the dorms that were right behind the field. And right down the street, there was this little tavern, and they had these drinks. They called them tankers because there was a big old glass mug, like 32 ounces, and we'd all fill them up with beer, obviously, and we would just chop it up, man. I mean, none of us. I mean, well, there's a few guys. We had the first rounder, third rounder, fifth, sixth, and like top 20 guys there. So some of the guys had money, but it wasn't about that. We were just sitting there chopping it up and just having a good time, living our dream, and I would just sit and think about the potential of what it would be like to be in the big leagues and dream, and I was on the road to my dream basically. So the times that stick with me are just kicking it with the fellas, man. Even though we're in some crappy hotel, people breaking into people's houses, like, we were gone, we were leaving. Actually, it was a funny story. We were living in these apartment complexes, which is, I hate that people knew it, that we all lived there, because when we were on the road, people would come in and like steal your stuff because they'd look up your schedule like, oh, they're gonna be gone for a week. We'll just pop in. But I guess they got the schedule wrong, and somebody was asleep on the couch, because then you roomed with like 4 or 5 other guys in a
Oh, yeah.
two-bedroom house, and that's one of the things I miss too. Well, when I wasn't that young, when I was that young, it was fun. Not now, obviously, but
Yeah.
somebody came in and was starting to steal the TV in the front room. They didn't notice that there was a guy, like one of my teammates, on the couch. And the guy on the couch woke up, saw the robbers, and just closed his eyes and let the person like steal his TV. Like, what? Why didn't you stop him, man?
That's
Now we
funny.
gotta, because also too, we would buy the TV, but there was like some loophole where if you returned it
Return it.
within, yeah, so now we got
We
to
did
buy
that
that
too.
TV. So, but it's funny. He was holding the pillow. And he said he like opened his eye and then closed his eyes. Like, nope, I don't see
No, I'm not
anything.
doing this. That's
But
funny.
yeah,
Must not have been his TV.
no, I don't think he put in on that. Probably that's
Yeah.
probably what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what you're talking about, Best Buy had like a 90-day return.
That's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
and
guys
then
would go, they would turn it, and then someone else would snag another one and do for the second half of the season.
exactly,
Don't take the
That's
stickers off.
perfect. It's genius.
Yeah. We did that. We did that too. That's funny. I lived with in high A. I lived with Travis Darno,
Yeah.
Jake Diekman, Justin DeFreitas, and Julian Sampson, who's Adrian Sampson's older brother, who was a first rounder from up here in Seattle, and then me. And I'm the youngest. They're all older than me. And I like slept on the leather couch in Florida, so I'm just sweating all
Sticky.
night, or in the closet if it was too, in Darno's closet, because they'd walk in closets. I'd lay a pillow on the ground, just fall asleep for like the last 4 hours because it was too bright in the room.
Yeah, it's the darkest spot in the house. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
did
No, I
that for a
slept
whole
on
year.
an air mattress. And we got the bigger room, but if you have the bigger room, then it means you have to put the most of the all of the beds in there. So
Mhm.
I was in there with 2 other guys. But we all had our own blow up mattress. Yeah, man, it's crazy times. But I mean, it was for the love of the game, for the
Yeah.
like the pursuit of your dream, man. I mean, I enjoyed it at that time. I remember because I'm like, man, I'm on the road. I'm almost there. You know, I felt like I was almost there in the big leagues, even though I was sleeping on an air mattress.
Yeah. It's just like keep going, keep going. That every day, everyone's just like keep going. And maybe
You
if you're
don't like
playing
it, play
well, it's a little
better. That's
easier,
what they
but
say. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it is a little bit better, but there's still a good amount of like this type of stuff going on in the minors. It's kind of just necessary with the number of guys, and like some guys are just like moving all around all the time. Like there's no point in going through the getting to bed and stuff. Like you're like, it's just a pain in the ass. I might as well sleep on a cot
Yeah.
because I'm just gonna fold it up again and move. You're like a nomad. All right, let's get into the big leagues because I got to hear about that first time, that debut. We got to know a couple things. One, who'd you face? What team was it against? And who was the first strikeout? And then who was the guy where, because mine was like Mickey Cabrera, who were you like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
you mentioned like how you're looking forward to the big leagues. This is the time where like I'm here, and that guy I've only seen him on TV, and he's like whatever it is, he's huge or whatever.
Yeah.
Who is that guy? So those three things. I know you're not supposed to ask triple part questions in the media, but I think you're a pro. I think you can do it.
That's all right, man. You got to break the rules every once in a while. But no,
Yeah.
so my debut was against the Brewers, and I remember, man, I couldn't even feel my legs running out from the bullpen. Actually, my last warm up pitch was off the back of the wall, and in Miami, there's hardly any at that time. There was hardly any fans, and so and the back padded wall was like it was a padded wall, you know. So
Mhm.
when I hit it, it was like boom, and like
Boom.
everyone could hear. I'm pretty sure. So here I come running out, like oh crap, here comes this dude throwing balls off the wall, and I get on the mound, and then after my first warm up pitch, I'm like, oh, this is still baseball. You know, I made sure not to let the brim of my hat get higher than the first row of seats. I
Yeah.
didn't want to look up. I didn't want to realize I was in a stadium. And you know, I just went to work. So I faced Ricky Weeks. I struck him out. Then I faced Ryan Braun. I struck him out. And then I faced Aramis Ramirez, and I struck him out as well.
What?
Yeah, I struck them out. I struck all of them out with the same baseball, because Rob Brantley was the catcher, and he was a rookie. He had just got called
Mhm.
up in August, and so he got the ball and just threw it around, and no one thought to like, hey, this is this is his first strikeout ball, and yeah, I just kept throwing with it. I didn't know that until Joe Frisario for the Marlins. He was a beat writer for them. He asked the question, or he told me, he was like, "Did you know that you struck out um, all these guys with the same ball?" I think Ricky Weeks fouled off a ball, but the ball when I struck him out, that stayed in. So,
Okay. So
so
you
that
didn't
was
use one ball the whole inning, but you did for every strikeout,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I,
It's
you have to be. You cannot. There cannot be anyone else whose first strikeout ball was actually three strikeouts. There like that can't exist other than you. There's no way.
I never
You might be
thought
the
about
only
it.
person to ever do that.
I mean, it's
That's
pretty crazy. And at that time, so Ryan Braun was just coming off his MVP season.
mm,
Ricky Weeks was maybe a year or 2 years from winning Rookie of the Year, I believe. And Aramis Ramirez was, he's just the guy that he
who's
was
been
a
bumping.
pro. He was a great at bat, professional at bat. And I remember they told me with him, and this has always been me, man. They in the meeting they were like, "Don't throw Aramis Ramirez fastballs inside," and I'm like, "Don't tell me what to do." If that's what I feel like, if I'm reading his swing and that's what I feel like is going to get him out, that's what I'm going to throw. And I struck him out with a fastball inside. It cut. And I was throwing cutters on accident up there. I mean, I was just letting it eat. I was throwing, I think 96, 97 that day.
Mm,
And so that was my A+ stuff, man. And yeah, I was lucky. I would think I was the first Marlin to strike out the side in his debut. So it was a hell of a debut for sure.
dang, you got a couple Marlins records. Then that's not nothing. That is
Yeah.
not nothing. Okay, so there's your debut. You're there. I'm pretty sure you're like, hey, I'm here, guys. By the way, give it to me in the ninth. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the big things there's always two like milestones, right? It's getting up there and then it's staying up there.
Mm.
Some guys struggle a little bit at the beginning and have to like they have a flip switch moment kind of where like, okay, I've turned the corner. I do like this is happening. And then some guys go and they punch out the side with one ball. Did you have a moment that you remember being like, I'm this group here, I'm part of, and I am one of our guys, or was that just from the beginning? You're like, yeah, this is where I belong. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Of course, I'm here. This is what's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, when I was walking off the mound, I get chills thinking about it right now. It was one of those things where there was that realization that like I'm good enough. Like damn right, I'm good enough. Like I always said it, and there was always most of myself that believed that I was good enough to be a big leaguer, but then actually going up there and performing, it was like, no, you are good enough to be here because look what you did. And it was that because I mean everyone always has doubt, right?
Yeah,
There's
of
there's
course.
doubt with
Yeah.
everybody, and it was like me yelling at that little bit of doubt of myself, like I told you, like you, it's I'm good enough, and all the little things you would tell me about not being good enough or reasons of saying those type of negative things to yourself is invalid. Like look at me now. So there was that, and then it was funny. Like Ozzie Guillen was a manager then with the Marlins, and he said, "I don't know where this kid's been. I don't know why it's taking so long for him to get called up. We've been blowing saves left and right. I don't know why it took him so long." And so the very next game, we went to DC, and that's when the Nationals were. That was in 12, and that's when they were there. They were pretty good then. Strasburg, Harper, all those guys, and they put me in the eighth inning to get a hold, and it was I think we were up by one, and got the first guy out, and then this is where I got humbled. I got the first guy out, first pitch, and I'm like, man, it's easy up here. Like I'm gonna dominate. I started thinking the other way. I was getting influenced by the positive uh, part and like getting too big for my britches, as they say in Texas. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, I'm like feeling good. Michael Morse comes up. I throw a fastball inside, blow his doors off. I'm like, they can't even touch me. They can't touch me up here. And then I threw a curveball. I think he may have laid off it. Then I throw another fastball that I missed. I thought it was in. I haven't looked at the video in a while, but this guy takes his hands inside the ball and hits it out oppo. Oh no. I'm sorry. There was a guy before that hits a chopper. He gets on. Then Michael Morris hits that bomb to put them ahead, I believe. And that's whenever like I got humbled. It was like, whoa, like don't ever get too high on yourself like that. You get humbled real quick, and
Yeah.
that really taught me to be level. I mean, I learned that through the minor leagues, but thinking that I got to the big leagues and like, yeah, I'm good enough. I'm here to stay. And then from that to, oh, they can't touch me. No, I'm gonna be the best pitcher up here. Like there's a difference. That's cockiness. I went to
Mm-hmm.
cocky instead of confident. And then I was like, all right, don't ever be cocky like that again. Like just go and do your job and be thankful to get another outing out there. And so I changed my mindset after that for sure.
That's really interesting. I love that's you make a great point there. There, would you agree with the statement that the major leagues almost? I felt like every time something like that would happen to me before I got to the major leagues, I almost felt like I was like, oh, like something's happening. I could feel it coming a little bit. But the big leagues happen so quick. Sometimes you'd be like, I'm the most confident person on the planet, and then 2 pitches later, like, what just happened? And
Yeah.
I'd never had that happen to me until I was in the big leagues.
It's so
Does
crazy.
that sound like it's just like,
I
oh, in
remember,
30 seconds? What happened?
dude, I'm cruising. And then next thing I know, I'm on the bench. They taking me out. I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, how am I? It was like a dream, I'm like, how did I fail? I was doing so well, and then when I felt that enough, I started to think like, all right, I'd throw, and it really made me tune in to momentum and the
Mhm.
momentum shifts of things, and that could be the way a guy swings at your ball. I'm like, ooh, that feels like there's momentum building against me. I got to do something to create some distraction or to create some because he's too confident at the plate right now. Or, they get a jam shot base hit and then he steals a bag. Like, oh, hey, that's momentum. Step
Mhm.
off, call time, whatever it is. whatever you do, I know that runner, like, we're still up by 2. I know that runner doesn't really mean too much, but you got to execute this pitch right here. You got to cut this. It's like taking a timeout. You got to make sure you get this guy out. You got to make sure you execute this next pitch. So that really made me tune into those things, and those can't be quantified by like numbers. I feel like that's an important quality to have as a reliever, is to know when things are starting to shift, and to know not only with the guy at the plate, but with the game. You can see your teammates playing differently. You can hear the crowd. You can hear all these different things. You're like, wait, the vibe is changing and it's not in my favor. And the same thing with the other thing. I can remember one of my mistakes as a closer is being two outs, 2 strikes. I mean, listen to the crowd. They're like, I'm at home and they're cheering for like, all right, let's get that third out. I started thinking about that third out. I walk the guy, and then next guy gets a hit, and the next guy gets another hit, and I walk, or whatever it is, and I'm like, oh, what? And
Yeah.
I'm walking off the field from a walk off or whatever, or from giving up the lead, and I'm like, how did that happen? It's because you lost focus.
Mm-hmm.
You lost focus in what you had to do at that moment. So like I had to always make sure to be locked in. That's why I was saying it wasn't really having fun, because I was too focused to have fun. No time to have fun when you got to focus on all those things. So like, so yeah, man, those are. I mean, that's why they say there's no failures, just lessons. And I try to learn from every one of those failures and try to figure out why I failed and try to nip that in the bud when I started to feel that, oh no, I'm feeling something. Instead of focusing on that, I'm like, all right, what am I feeling? What's happening? How can I control it?
Love it. Love it. I got a question, especially in the reliever realm in just a moment. But first, before we do that, real quick, give me the guy that you owned and a guy who owned you.
Freddie Freeman owned him.
You owned Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, I was on because I call some games for the Marlins. I call my first games were in spring training, and I'm calling for them on the radio next month, in May, when they're doing the West Coast trip. And they asked me that question, like, who do you feel like is the guy that you did well against? And I was like, I don't know the numbers, but I think Freddie Freeman. I think I owned him. I just can remember, even out after the game, when he'd come to Miami or I would be in Atlanta, we'd be out afterwards, and he'd say like, "Can you stop striking me out?" or
When
whatever
he's
it is.
aware of it, that's when
Yeah,
you
he was
know.
aware. I'm like, oh, I guess I own his ass. And I think he's 0 for 9 on me with 6 punch outs or something like that.
Woo-wee.
Yeah, I owned him. Guy that owned me was Ian Desmond. I felt like he no matter what I threw, I even threw a two seam, which I never threw. I changed the grip on my cutter. I try to manipulate anything. Didn't matter what I threw. He would just, even his outs were like line drive, like on the barrel outs, and I could not ever get him. So he was a guy that owned me, but he played with the Nats. So we played them often. Daniel Murphy was a guy I faced a lot. Um, I think you could say he owned me a bit, but he just controlled the zone very well. And I
Yeah.
was a guy that tried to strike you out, so he was never falling for my magic pitches. Yeah,
Yeah.
my now you see it, now you don't. He
Yeah.
never fell for that. So those guys stick out to me in my mind.
Those are good ones, man. Freddie Freeman being the guy you own is like
That's pretty
that's a good
pretty big
one.
time.
I wish
Yeah.
I had that one. I did not. I owed Freddie for his first 2 ABs, and then he started to get me a little bit. But yeah, I had Napoli. Napoli was my guy. I struck him out the
Ah.
first 7 times I saw him, and then he finally grounded out to short. And it seemed, I don't know if this is true, but it looked like he was pretty relieved.
Yeah.
He was
He's like,
finally, oh
I
my
made
god,
contact. Yeah.
this kid, I can't hit this kid, because I wasn't even a reliever yet at that point.
Yeah.
Like I was a starter, and he was struggling against me, and no one was struggling against me. But you gotta hang your head on those. But then Didi Gregorius just killed me. So
Oh, yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
It's random. Um, okay, so relievers. Back to the relievers, and I'm going to start. I need to put this question in every time we talk to a reliever. Do you feel, is this a true statement? Do you feel like that relievers, just in general, are underappreciated? This is a conversation I was having with Adam Montevino recently, and he feels very strongly in the yes category. I'm over on that side too. Do you feel like relievers kind of get left behind a little bit when we're talking about the value in our game?
100%, man. I mean, I even know, like, whenever I was closing out ball games, you never saw me on a highlight unless I was blowing the lead. Even when I was, so that streak when I had 33 in a row, I mean, maybe they showed when I got 33 saves in a row, maybe they showed the highlight of that. But other than that, like, you're not getting any love, especially like closers get more love than the rest of the bullpen, especially. Like, again, you're not the only highlight you're going to, like my brother said it best. He was like, I hated seeing a highlight of you on ESPN because that means something bad happened. And that's the only time you see a reliever like that. So you never get any love as far as media goes. I think your teammates, they definitely show you love. That like they especially when you pick, like say the starter only goes 2 innings and a guy comes out and throws 5-6 innings and like picks you up, like that holds real value to your teammates. And I think that matters more than anything else. I think that's why relievers can get through the season and all that without any love, because they get love from their teammates. And if you're trying to get love for the fans, if that's not your line of work, like your job doesn't depend on fans liking you or not. You just got to play good. Then you're going for the wrong things, right? You're doing that external validation stuff, and it's never a good thing to try to do that. In sports, at least. So yeah, I mean, I think it's I'm on the yes category, that we are definitely underappreciated for sure.
I like that. It's funny. There's two sides of that coin, right? Like at least you don't have to be like Shohei and like worry about being talked about all the time. It's fun because sometimes, especially when you're not a closer, you can kind of go struggle and people will forget pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So at least
Yeah.
that, like, you don't get destroyed either as hard. But as a closer, yeah, it's either you did your job. We're like kickers. You either did your job or you suck. Those are the
100%.
those are the two
100.
options. That,
It's either
that
love or
word.
hate. Love or hate, or
Yeah.
mostly hate.
Just dropped my headphones there. I was sorry about that. Okay. Now I got to talk about a mutual we have. One of my I'll be honest, he was one of the guys who talked a lot about the kind of the what it's like to, like, how do you operate as a major leaguer, and that's Ricky Nolasco. Also, Ricky gave me my break a little bit in my sophomore season. He had I don't know if you remember, you probably remember vividly because you guys are really good friends, but he had the ankle surgery. Yep. So he had the ankle thing go on. I was the guy who replaced him when he went down with that. And so there's a lot of him hanging out, and Ricky loves to tell stories. And Ricky, AJ, Ricky, and Giancarlo Stanton, really good friends. You guys are all still really good friends, I'm assuming. Yeah. You probably talk to them regularly. You guys are, he would tell me about how you'd hang out all the time, especially like when Stanton signed his contract. So a lot of, like, I didn't have like guys who were also in the major leagues that I would hang out that much without. It's actually a big kind of regret I have a little bit that I didn't hang out, at least especially in the off season, that no one else lived up near me. Right. So what's some of the most fun you guys had, all being big leaguers, all making pretty good money, and all like kind of having had the same experience? What's a sick experience you guys got to have because of that dynamic?
Man, so Ricky, first of all, Ricky is the epitome of how to handle yourself as a big leaguer. He knew how to do his limits. His routine was amazing. He would have fun, but whatever he did the night before would never affect the next day. He would always go in and get his work in. And one of the lessons that I learned from him was, when you walk out of that locker room, nobody should ever know if you did good or bad. You got to be the same person. Because there was one time where I think after I blew that save, I blew the hold or whatever in DC. I remember he hit me up and said, "Hey, you wanna step out? I know a good spot out here." It's like, "No, man, I blew that save, so I probably shouldn't go out." And he was like, "What?" He's like, "Man, let me tell you something. As soon as you walk out of that locker room, no one should ever know if you did good or bad. Never hang your head." And I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "Now, do you want to go out?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go out." Let's go out. And that right there, he took me under his wing. Because you get 7-on-7, I believe, when you first get called up.
Yeah.
And so my 7 days were up in the hotel, and he comes up to me and was like, "Hey," he's like, "Where are you staying?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just gonna stay at the hotel." He's like, "Nah, you can stay with me." I'm like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "I got an extra bedroom." I'm like, "Oh, cool." He goes, "Where you driving?" I'm like, "Just taking a cab." He's like, "Nah, I got a Beamer. I got an extra Beamer. You can drive my 7 Series." And I was like, "What?" It's like, "All right, cool." And he goes, "All right, well, you got your stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we get in this car, we go up, we drive to South Beach. come up to this high rise, dude. It's me, Stanton, um, Ricky, and I forgot who the other guy was. Peterson, I believe. Petey. And so we go up, dude. And I'm in the minor leagues. I'm from Texas. I never seen no high rises like this. You walk in, marble floors. We go up to this elevator, like not the regular elevators. We go up to these side elevators. We go up. We're going up, and then my ears starting to pop because how high we're going. We're on floor like I don't know 63. Opens up, and it's right into the apartment. Like elevator straight
My
to the
house.
penthouse. Walk up, dude, marble floors. Like you can see South Beach on one side, and on the other side, you can see like downtown Miami, and I can actually see the stadium. He goes, "All right, your room's over there on the corner." I walk in, dude, this big old room, king size bed. I'm like, man, I've been sleeping on air mattresses. Like, this is amazing. And I'm sitting there like thinking, like, this is unreal, dude. And then from that night, he was like, "Hey, you want to go out?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I mean, that was my release. That was how we wind down basically, because you go in and close out a ball game. I mean, that's what 9:30, 10,
Yeah.
whatever.
Hyped up.
And so that's your 5 o'clock. And dude, my adrenaline and everything is way up. And what else are you gonna do at 10, 11:30 at night? You're gonna go have a drink. Maybe. I mean, Miami's cool because you can still go get a good meal, and places are open late. So we go out, have a meal. I'm still up. We go out and have some fun, and that was what we did, man. But and then the cool thing about it was whenever we run into other people, other guys, like it would be like the player and then their entourage, all of them who none of them who played. It was just one guy doing that. When we walked into places, it was three major leaguers. And then in the off season, we lived together in LA, and we would rent a house in the hills, and we'd have some get-togethers there at our house. And I mean, at times there were celebrities, there were rappers, there were singers like coming in. I'm like, what kind of life am I living? Like it just,
Yeah.
and that was because obviously because the stardom of Stanton, right? Like he
Yeah.
was at one time he had the largest contract in sports. And the access that we got was mostly a lot because of him. We go to these events and stuff where people were dressed in suit and ties, and you're rubbing elbows with Alan Thicke and Lady Gaga and Rihanna, all these people. You're like I'm not supposed to be here. I'm just this little dude from Lubbock, Texas. You know what I mean? So the life that we got to live, and the stories, and all the things that we are able to do. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna write a movie about it, bro. Like I'm serious. Like there's
I
so
love
many
that.
experiences. There's so many things that we did that I got to experience off the field that just was next level. And I don't think that many guys that even play in the league got to experience that type of lifestyle, just because it was just wild, dude. So but Ricky was always the one to hone it in and make sure that we all got our work done, work in. And that's why he had such a long career. And I was a blessing to meet him and to have him take me under his wing.
Yeah, Ricky was dude, he was one of the it's crazy because like you look when you don't know him, like great car or nice cars, driving a different car every day to spring, and you're like, damn man, this guy like just does whatever. But it was all like he is tight,
Yeah.
planned, everything's planned. He's like, dude, I'm do this because this life lets me like my income lets me live this type of life. I understand I'm not going to be able to do this forever, so I'm going to enjoy it. But he was
Yep.
all it was so crazy how like the first thing he told me he's like oh yeah dude, you just have limits. Like I just have really strict limits for what I'm willing to do in certain situations, but I want to enjoy it to the whatever the maximum is, and it depends on what's baseball going on.
Yeah.
It's all connected. There's a
Yeah.
way to live this life and enjoy it and just be have it not be an issue. Like I
Well,
understand that it becomes an issue for some people. My goal is to have
yeah.
it not become an issue. And I'm like,
Well, the
dude,
the the biggest
wow.
thing like that I learned was like, yes, baseball is the most important thing. That's the reason that we get to have the access and the money and all that stuff. But at the same time, that can't be your whole life.
Yeah.
Like if I just worried about doing well or performing, just worry about that, then the times when I did good or bad, that would mean so much more. But when you get to live life outside of it and experience different things, kind of get away from the grind, that kind of when you go back to the grind, it allows you to have do have even more love and more focus towards it because you got to focus on something else. Like you weren't so obsessed with it all. So I lived
It's awesome.
my big league life. Ooh, I lived, bro. I was living.
Well, I gotta say, write that movie. Myself, I've also been working on a screenplay for quite a while. It's actually really fun, but also I want to see this movie. So let me know how that goes. I
Yeah.
want to know all about it. All right, let's go. Let's do the rapid fire that I
Okay.
mentioned before we got on the show, and then I'll let you get out of here because I know you're a busy man. Real quick, first question of rapid fire. You've been on a lot of buses, especially in the big leagues, airport to the hotel to airport. Someone is on the mic all the time. In your experience, who was the best MC you ever had on the mic?
John Buck.
John Buck.
Yeah, he was the catcher. That dude was hilarious. He knew how to bust people's chops. He was just loud enough. Some people get on the mic and yell too loud, and you're like, God damn, I can't even hear. But he had the right volume. He busted the rookie's chops just enough, but afterwards always showed him love. It wasn't just like constantly on somebody. So he did it right. And yeah, he was one of the best to do it on there.
John Buck. Yeah, some guys do yell. Hey, Torrey Hunter, my man, T-Nuts, amazing dude, but sometimes he would distort that thing so hard. And we're like, bro,
Yeah.
we do not know what you're saying.
Yep.
He wants us to chant stuff, and we don't even know
Like,
what he's saying.
what are we saying? What are we saying?
What do we say? And then he just put his phone up, play Little Red Corvette over. It's just, he loved putting his phone against the thing. Could never hear the song. He thought it was hilarious. He's one of my best. I love Torrey. All right, let's do the stats. Let's do the splits. Rapid fire a little bit here. These are always my favorite, especially with the labor. So, how well do you know your stats in your career? And this is your career, obviously. Were you better in the first half or the second half of your career?
I would say first half.
First half, career 282, 190 batting average against in the first half for your career, which is nuts.
Nice.
Home or away?
I would say away.
You're way better home. 244 career at home.
Oh yeah,
179 batting average against.
Yeah, well, I did play in that. It was before they moved the fences in, so it helped.
True,
In my
that was a good place to pitch for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Were you better against righties or lefties?
I would say around equal. I'm close.
It was really, really close, but a little bit of an advantage to righties. So obviously, breaking ball, righty pitcher. What was your best inning?
Ninth.
It was the ninth. It was the one you threw the most, but it also was your best career. You had a 2-4 career in the ninth inning. It's pretty good. And you're like in saves, you gave up like 2 runs in games where you got the save like your whole career. So it was a lot of zeros. So that means you're doing a good job. Now we're gonna get a little bit more into the weeds. Days of rest. What was your ideal days of rest? What did you pitch the best?
Let's see. 2.
0. Your best statistics were the second day of back-to-back, and same for me, by far. And then 1 was pretty good too, but yeah, 2 was
you maintain that feel, like
it was like the adrenaline carried over for me.
Yeah.
And then I'd get all tight in day 3.
Well, I would start to feel too good after day 2 or 3 or whatever. I'm like, damn, I'm throwing the ball harder, but I have no control. Yeah.
I get rusty, and then I have to like figure it out again. Spot in the order. What number in the order did you have the most success against?
Man, I'm like seventh per
sixth, but right behind it, third. So you got the big boy guy out really well. You did a good job with that.
Well, they would always pinch hit for somebody. I felt like if I came in and it's the bottom of the order, they're always going to pitch hit someone, So I felt like it was later in the lineup where I had success.
Yeah. Okay. So minimum of 10 games against the team. You pitched 10 games against just about everybody, but best. Well, who's the team you were best against?
Ooh. I want to know this one. Let's see. Is it the Mets?
The Diamondbacks. In 16 games, you had a 0.5 ERA.
Oh man.
But in division, it was the Nats. You had a 2.18 against them in 46 games. So you learned your lesson after that first one. You're like, never again.
Never again.
And you actually did pretty well against. There was no one in the division that hit you well at all. I think you had a sub 3 against everybody. Who was your worst team? Like, what team did you struggle the most against?
Braves.
Dodgers.
That was gonna be my second.
There were a couple tough ones in LA, I think. But best park. What park did you have the best stats in that wasn't a home park?
That wasn't a home. Was it Turner Field?
Turner Field, best park.
Yeah, I remember some good ones there.
Now
the new ballpark I didn't do very well. It didn't treat me well.
Truist, yeah, I gave up like half the homers that I was on the Mets when I was on the Mets in Truist.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we always had like a 2 or 3 run lead, so it never really blew up on me. But I gave up a lot of solo shots.
Still doesn't feel good.
No. That completes our rapid fire stats. I just have one more question, as you are a member of the media yourself. I'm always interested to hear what everyone's perspective on this, because I have my own opinions. Since becoming a part of the media, how has your opinion, or how has your view of people who cover baseball changed since you've become one of the people that's doing it?
Well, some of the people that do it, I am impressed on the amount of work and knowledge they have in it. As far as like the numbers stuff, because I was never a numbers guy. I was feel, so I didn't really look at the numbers. So people who are so prepared that didn't play the game, those people I show a lot of respect to, because that's amazing. But the other part of it is I haven't got real good yet at the speculation and the making the big things out of little bitty sample sizes. And like right now, like, Dodgers aren't doing good. Oh, are they going to make the playoffs? What are you talking about? Of course they're going to make the playoffs. Like, I haven't got real good at doing that stuff. So sometimes my answers are like not as enticing. And I think in the media, you have to have some of that enticing part of it so that people can click on your stuff or read your article. You got to have the right headline to get the most views and stuff. So that part, I'm not. I don't like that part. And I'm sure at some point I maybe have to lean on that at some point. But I'm not very good at that. But just the people who are prepared and been helping me. I know, like I mentioned, I'm doing a radio broadcast for the Marlins, which is awesome because I have to be more descriptive so that when I do get on TV, I'll be more polished, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the guys, Jack McMullen and Steven Strom, those guys have been helping me so much on just the process and how to prepare. So I'm like thankful for that, and because you can get in these spaces and some people can be pricks about it.
Yeah.
But those guys want me to succeed, and they're trying to give me the tools to be the best version, and it's been a smooth transition with them, and I'm excited, man. And obviously too, like the way the Marlins are playing is surprising, and things that are going on there has been great. When I went to spring training, I saw the process, and I'm like, this is a different rebuild. This isn't like before. This is like rebuild from the ground up, and they're making sure they have a good foundation. And it's been fun being on this side of things, and just kind of like you, man. I mean, just curious about what makes people tick, how they gained and acquired and success, and how they deal with failures. It's just a whole process. Everyone has a slightly different way of doing it, and the more we talk to different people, the more we get this information out, the more that someone can relate to it and maybe add it into their process, whether that be for baseball or just for life in general. So really appreciate what you're doing. It's amazing, and keep going, man. It's awesome.
I will. I don't plan to stop anytime soon. That's a very, very well said. It's an interesting beast. You learn pretty quickly how to have meaningful conversations in short amount of time, how to work around like commercials and stuff. I'm right there with you, especially because we're like analysts and trying to add color. Like you're like, how do I say this in 60 seconds? And it's very hard to do.
I mean, sometimes it's like 20 seconds, and you like gotta like, how do I condense this?
How do I condense this and make this add something like that's not just generic, because
Right.
that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yep.
And
He's swinging the bat really good right now.
Yeah, I saw what you saw, guys. Looks good. I can't analyze anything because I need more time. That's how it works. All right, man. Well, AJ, thank you so much for joining the show. Everyone at home, we're gonna let him go because we got stuff to make. Actually, before we go, let them know where people can find you. What all the things you got going on right now, so we can hear more of that creamy, that luscious
Pause.
voice on content. That's what I meant to say. Sorry about that.
No, yeah, I'm on Sirius XM channel 89. I'll do Loud Outs. I'll do what's the other show? Power Alley. I've been doing on that, and then also with the Marlins, I'll be calling some games. We're on 20 games this year, which is perfect. Allows me to live the big league life for 20 games, and then come home to my wife and 2 kids, and my new dog coming, which is a European Doberman.
Ooh.
I'm excited about him. His name is Kenzo. He's a red Doberman. So I'm excited about him. He's coming in a couple days. But yeah, on Instagram, I'm the AJ Ramos. I haven't really posted as much on the locker room page in a while. We've just been busy with other stuff, but I definitely look forward to firing that up as well, back up. And now that I'm in, talking to more guys a little bit more, so being able to get more guests and stuff. So look for me on there, or on Twitter, the AJ Ramos. Yeah, shoot me a message and chop it up, whatever it is. So I appreciate you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for being here once again. And guys at home, please 5-star reviews, especially if you're listening on Spotify. Leave that comment. That's what they want now. And so now I want it. So that would be really helpful. You got questions, you got guests you want to hear in the future on the show, let me know down there. I check them. I read them. There's not that many of them. So I want more. Thank you. And as always, drink your water, watch your baseball, and I'll see you next time on the Cut on the Diamond podcast. Peace.